YouTube, what's going on? What's going on? Welcome to Wealth Wednesday. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Typically, we do this easily, but today's a little different. All right, hope all is well. The time is now 8:06. All right, so we've got a nice, juicy topic today, and let's get right into it because I don't want to have you guys and gals out here for too long. It is the eve before 11:11, so it's important that we relax and enjoy ourselves a little bit. So I want to say what up to folks in the room. Motivino, Miss Motivino, what up? Hirsch, Invest, what's going on, brother? Billy Woodard, what's up, Billy? How you doing? Chief, appreciate you. All right, so today's topic, I posted something really quickly about it, but we're going to be talking today about inflation. We're going to talk about CPI, Consumer Price Index, and we're going to talk about the soup to nuts of life insurance. And the reason why I wanted to kind of bring up those three things in that way is because we're going into the holiday season. A lot of folks are going to be buying things, and this is a time where a lot of spending occurs, right? A lot of companies make their mark and their profits literally right now. Okay. However, I just have a word of caution that that's not going to be the case this time. And it's not their fault. It's just the fact that the economy is doing different things and we've got to be abreast. So my job here is to make sure I keep you guys in the loop as to what's going on so that you can make the best and wisest choices for the holiday season, but also just for yourselves in general. All right. So welcome to the program. If your first time joining us here, again, welcome. So I'll get right into it. First things first, I want to shout out StreamYard for helping us stream live every Wednesday. They are a free platform that you can utilize to stream services off IG or Facebook Live and also on YouTube to simulcast. So definitely lost sound in the portion of, oh, wait a minute. Let's do this real quick. Let's take these out. It's just me in here. We don't need these. Can you guys hear me right now on the IG? You can hear me now, Miss Motivino. Hopefully you can hear me now. I just took off the headphones. So hopefully this works. All right. Hopefully you guys are hearing me good. All right. So we are going to connect. StreamYard again, like I said, they're a very awesome service. They allow us to simulcast, and then we actually record this for our podcast as well. So we have those episodes as well. So all of this works together. All right. So we're going to share our screen on YouTube. If you're not on YouTube, then that's okay. Let's share screen, window. All right. I don't know why you guys can't hear me on IG. How's that, everybody? Can you guys hear me now? Let's hope you can hear me now. Can you hear me now? All right. I'm going to close out and come back. Let's see if this works. All right. Let me see if that's interesting. I was sending, so I heard you saying it, and then when I logged on, but I figured it was my audio. So if you guys can't hear me, I'm going to close out. I'm going to start back up. Okay. So just give me a second. Let's try this again. Discard video, discard, and boom, boom. IG wants to be petty right now. See, this is why we always do our stuff on YouTube, just in case, y'all, because again, when they want to get petty with it, we got to have a backup plan. So YouTube, you've been streaming the whole damn time, which I appreciate it. All right. So we are going to share screen here on our YouTube. Let me make sure that there's nothing crazy on that screen. All right. Boom, boom. There's a little mama right there. Okay, finance.com. Okay, we are live on you. Okay, hopefully this works out. Hopefully our volume is great. We're good. Okay. So ignore the way.org. Okay, boom. Share screen. Boom, boom. All right. So here we go. If you're not on our YouTube page, you can click the link in my bio. That'll head over to the YouTube. You'll be able to see what we're sharing there. So we are The Way. It's our nonprofit. We have been around for almost a year and a half now. And the goal of our nonprofit is to work in the areas of financial literacy, relationships, and philanthropy. So that's kind of where we make our, sounds great. Okay, perfect. That's where we make our living right there. And today I'm going to be doing a little bit more of a talk in reference to the economy because it's going to be important for us to get into it. So sorry that took us 5 minutes of our time just to get our sound right, but YouTube was good the whole time. Just FYI, y'all. If you guys want to go to YouTube, it works. All right. So the first slide I'm going to pull up is this one. And I did save a few of these screenshots so that way we can talk about it. So here's what we're going to talk about right now. Consumer Price Index pushes past inflation, U.S. inflation rate of 6%. Let me see if I can get a different picture here because that picture is not showing me what I want to see here. I'll just show you a graph instead, since that'll just work better. I like to see graphics. They work out for me just as fine. So if you see that graph, right, you're going to see on the bottom left, you're going to see the average of all of the consumer price index metrics. Okay, the average 10-year, and then what it currently is at right now. I'll let you guys look at that for a second. Do you see the metrics right now? So for the CPI, right now, the 10-year average is just over 1%. And the current index is just in the 6s, right? Now, if you follow our program and you kind of are paying attention to what we talk about, you'll remember that we talked about this being a problem going forward. We talked about this being a problem just because, again, looking at the way that, everything is lining up. The goal for us is to kind of be ahead of the curve. We don't want to be behind it. So if we see that things are lining up in a way that's going to be advantageous for you guys, definitely want to let you know. But if we see that the opposite likewise is happening, we got to talk about it. So right now we have pulled up the IRS release for standard deductions and tax brackets as inflation source. So this is an article on MarketWatch, and I get these articles all the time. So just so you guys know, it's always important for me to kind of be abreast of any sort of current market news. And you guys should do the same thing. Like literally just, scroll through MarketWatch, scroll through Yahoo Finance, scroll through, Google News, just kind of take a look at the business metrics, the economic metrics, because that's going to be what impacts you a lot. Now, I don't know about you guys, but so when I put gas in my car, right, I have a hybrid. I usually put premium gas, right, 93. And this week I filled up my tank and gas was at $4.11. Right? For a premium. I remember the beginning of the summer, I was paying maybe $3.40-ish, $3.39, $3.40 for the premium gas. It's literally up by 60 cents, 50 cents in the last 5 months, right? So there's a couple of things that are going to be happening to us over the next, I would say, 2-3 months and going into 2022, where your dollar is not going to go as far. Right. So this is the reason why it's going to be important for us to make sure that we're investing our funds into things that are going to grow with interest, and also that we are spending wisely. Because again, if you're not spending wisely and your costs are going up everywhere around you, you're going to be in trouble. Right. That's kind of what's planning out right now. So in this article, this was written by Andrew Keshner. He says the IRS makes inflation adjustments yearly, but this year they coincided with hot October inflation data. So tax season is months away. Read the first couple of paragraphs and you'll see why. Tax season is a couple months away, but it's never too soon to know what to expect when it comes to potential refunds. Let me make that screen bigger for you guys so you can see a little bit better. Especially when inflation is gnawing at household budgets. Hours after data came out showing the rate of inflation hit a 31-year high in October, the Internal Revenue Service announced how much certain inflation-indexed tax provisions would be adjusted for returns in 2023. The IRS already announced the inflation adjustments for provisions like the standard deduction that will apply for returns filed in 2022. Those routine adjustments were made last October. The latest adjustments to more than 60 provisions were determined prior to Wednesday morning's Consumer Price Index news, IRS spokesperson Anthony Burke said. So essentially, they're making new adjustments now to the tax code because, again, they're seeing that what inflation is doing, how it's eroding money from taxpayers, right? So this is something to do on an annual basis, but this time around, it's a little different. And why is it a little different? Let's click on the 31-year high bracket. So this is what I posted in our, if you're on our YouTube, you're seeing the article. So the article is from marketwatch.com, economic report. It's called Consumer Prices Soar Again and Push U.S. Rate of Inflation to 31-year High. This was written by Jeffrey Bartish. Inflation over the past year marched to 6.2% in October. The cost of living rose sharply again in October as Americans paid more for staples such as gas. We talked about that earlier. Groceries, pushing the rate of inflation to nearly 31-year high and adding financial pressure to the U.S. households. The CPI index jumped 0.9% last month, the government said Wednesday. Economist polled at Wall Street Journal had forecasted a 0.6% increase. The pace of inflation over the past year has marched to 6.2% in October from 5.4% the prior month. That's more than triple the Federal Reserve's 2% target and its highest rate since November of 1990. Okay. This is going to be the problem, right? But this problem isn't just consumer price index going up. It's not like, just so we break down what that is, right? That's not just things costing more because they're supposed to be cost more. That's not what's happening. This is a combination of economic factors like COVID, shipping, logistics, job shortages, over demand that can't meet supply, companies looking to pass on those expensive costs to customers and the prices. All of these factors are literally rolling into why CPI is 3 times it's supposed to be regular rate right now. Okay, that's why it's happening, and that's going to continue happening. So when you go to the grocery store and you're realizing that when you spend $100 a week on groceries and you're only getting a third of the things that you needed, or maybe 2/3 of what you usually get, like that's what's happening. And if you look at the fruit and vegetables, again, you're seeing the cost of what's happening right now in life impacting across all sectors and across all types of spending. As this article talks about right now, the White House has grown a little worried. Inflation hurts Americans' pockets, and reversing this trend is top priority for President Biden. He said in a statement again to Republicans. Another close watch measure of inflation that omits volatile food and energy costs rose by 0.6% last month. This so-called core rate is closely followed by economists as more accurate measures of underlying inflation. The 12-month increase of the core rate climbed to 4.6% from 4% and hit a 30-year peak. So no matter which metric you want to use, you can use the core, you can use regular CPI. We're at 30-year numbers, right? Cool. Now, when the government has this problem, they have 2 options, really, right? One is to, well, I'll just talk about the one that they have to use at some point, right? And that's to raise interest rates. That's one tool that the Fed has at their fingertips that they can use in order to combat this, right? It's not going to work. The reason why it's not going to work is because if you raise rates right now, right? Because that's what everyone's waiting on. If rates go up, the market usually takes an opposite turn, right? If interest rates rise and the government starts to raise interest rates, well, what's going to happen is it's going to have a blowback effect on everything. So that's why they haven't done it yet. And if they do it in 2022, that's going to blow back into your investments. So how do you prepare for that, right? Well, one, just know that anytime investors see that interest rates are going to go up or that there's talk of interest rates going up because they're trying to combat inflation, that's going to lead to a conversation where stock prices are going to fall left and right. So if you're invested in certain very risky assets, this would be a good time. If you see that conversation begin, that would be a good time to then start diversifying yourself into a portfolio that is not going to be hit as hard as one that's extremely aggressive. Now, I had a buddy of mine the other day talk about a mutual fund that he was looking at. We were looking through it, and the mutual fund has done, I think, 58% this year, right? This one fund. And we look at what it's invested in, right? It's invested in small and micro cap financial services companies. So that's the market that it's in. It's really in small broker dealers. Now, if you're invested in a mutual fund that's comprised of 80% stocks of small broker dealers, right? Small financial companies. Well, if they raise interest rates, if the consumer price index keeps going up, if folks are going to be now cautious about investing money into those funds, those small companies are going to lose a lot of money, even more so than just a regular S&P allocation, more so than a moderate allocation, because they're extremely aggressive, right? Because they're in one specific sector that will be completely affected if the markets take a negative look at interest rates being raised by the federal government, right? So for that specific mutual fund, if you're in something like that, and this happens where they start to raise rates in January, February, March, those prices, that 60-something% that you just got year from last year till now, that can be wiped out within a week. Like, it's that quick. So you have to really start looking at what you're invested in now and make sure that you're looking to be into companies that are, one, priced properly based on what the economy is doing, and two, are going to be built for if interest rates go up, what is this company going to do? You've got to look at that. Like we say, invest like an economist all the time, right? What does that mean? That means knowing what the economy is doing, knowing where it's heading, and being able to invest in companies that are going to either benefit from that or get hammered by that by pulling money out of those companies, right? So a perfect example is something like a FedEx or Amazon or any sort of logistics company, right? If you're in a logistics company or you're investing in a logistics company, that's not going to really be harmed during that type of hike. Because again, if you're talking about just transferring goods and services from one person to another, that business has been booming for the last 5-10 years, right? And look at Amazon stock price going through the roof. They're not going to see a slowdown if anything happens in the economy because people are going to just start buying more things online. Even today, like there are companies that literally will shop for you and bring your groceries to your front door. So that's the nature of what happens when things like this occur, where you're in a pandemic, where folks are kind of nervous to go out. You have elderly folks who don't want to leave their house to go grocery shopping. They're going to start ordering things online, right? And even myself, I ordered a few household good items today, which I could have gone to the store and gotten, but I'm like, no, I'd rather just order it and have it come to my house. That's the nature that we're in. So if you're investing in companies or in mutual funds that are in that sector of delivering goods and services to people, you're probably going to be fine because that industry is not going to be put over on its head if interest rates go up. However, if you're invested in a mutual fund that has 80% of its cost in small broker dealers or small financial companies and the market tanks, people pull out money from those companies. And when money comes out of those companies, they lose price, like their price falls because they have no assets under management. How financial services companies make money is they have your money invested and they charge you for it. That's how they make money. Like how the banks make money, right? Your money's in a savings account. They charge you, they'll loan out your money to other people and they'll just make the interest back until you need your money. Then they'll give it back to you. But until then, they're loaning it out, interesting it out, mortgaging it out, letting everyone borrow from them and pay them interest on your money, right? Like it's the same thing. As monies are under management, you get paid. So if a market turns, people are going to pull money out of financial advisors because they're going to say, hey, the market's turning bad. I want my money back. Withdraw my money and put it into a cash account. They don't make money off of that, right? So those financial service companies will lose money and therefore their prices will fall. So all of these things tie together. We just connected the consumer price index with logistics companies, with financial services companies, and how just one change in the federal government's desire to want to raise rates to curb inflation can impact all three, whether it be positive, neutrally, or negatively. That's the name of the game when it comes to Wealth Wednesday. We want to make sure that we're talking about how all of these things intersect, because I think people get lost in that whole intersection. They don't really see how all these things play a role in each other, right? So on this article, this just talks again about the way that inflation is moving. So we saw this happening and the reason and what we can do about this, right? When it comes to your Christmas shopping, holiday shopping, groceries, all the things that you need to spend money on, gas, electrical bills, this winter is going to be your highest gas bill, by the way, just so you know, because gas prices are going to be going up there. If you're on propane or if you have alternate fuel options, you're going to see a huge uptick in your fuel costs. And for folks who are on solar, you're going to see the least amount of uptick. So this is where like all of you need to start looking at alternative ways of having heating, cooling, your vehicle, like everything has to be efficient now because where we're going, if you're not efficient, you're going to lose a lot of buying power. And that's not what we want to see, right? So first things first, what are the solutions for this? Well, you can't change consumer price index. You can't change inflation. You can't change what's happening, right? You just can deal with it. So the first solution is spend wisely, right? Instead of you going out and having those drinks with your friends, instead of doing that, go buy a bottle. Instead of you going to get a mani-pedi every week, go buy the products to do your nails. Like this is the time to really start conserving where you can because you can still have it all, but you just might have to adjust how you're doing it, right? If you have an opportunity to buy a brand new car and lease it as opposed to buying a used car, that would be a better option right now because again, you're getting those leases for pennies on the dollar as opposed to finance charges. Like they're hiking up the prices on used cars right now. I don't know if you've been in the mode of shopping for used cars, but you're seeing used cars going for premiums right now because not a lot of them. They haven't been the new 2022 models haven't even been built yet. They haven't been offered. No one can find them. So you're still buying 2020s and 2021s for overpriced prices, right? Because the supply is not there. So all of these things These are the things that are working against you. So if in the used car market, you have options of getting a really, really expensive used car or leasing a fairly brand new car for pennies on the dollar, this might be the time to get a lease. So all of these things are decisions that you have to now start looking at and saying, am I making the right choice in this? Am I using what I know about the economy and what the consumer price is saying and making it benefit me, right? This might be the time to buy an electric vehicle. This might be the time to do that. This might be the time to buy a hybrid. This might be the time to start lowering your costs in certain areas by getting solar panels installed, by looking at other alternative solutions for power, looking at ways of conserving even on your Christmas bill. Instead of making Christmas into a holiday of shopping and shopping, maybe you're using it to invest, right? So finding ways to think differently is the key to this. The next thing I wanted to talk to you guys about. So any questions about that? I see some folks are in the house. Clean cut. What's going on? Tice, what's poppin'? How you doing? For the dream weddings in the house. Okay, what's going on, brother? All right, all right, all right. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, a lot of our listeners, they do this thing where they tap in at 8 o'clock, they see what's going on, and they come back afterwards to check out the live. So I appreciate you guys for holding us down and supporting us. So that's really appreciated. So the next article that I wanted to pull up is this one. Actually, no, not an article. So we're going to transition real quick. It's almost 8:30, so this is a good time to switch it. So we talked about consumer price index. We talked about how that's going to affect you in inflation going forward. Now I just kind of want to talk to you guys about the T on life insurance, right? And I thought about this earlier today, and I was like, you know what? I think folks hear the word life insurance and get turned off immediately because they don't know what it is, how it works. If I die, I get paid. If I don't die, what happens? There are mechanics to life insurance that folks don't really know, and it's not really described properly. So I want to take this time to kind of go into that and give you guys literally a basic understanding of what it is, what the different types are, and why it's important right now to look at things like this, especially during a pandemic when folks are dying left and right. Um, you know, Not to say that I am I'm open to all forms of knowledge, whether it comes from the, mystery, whether it comes from history, whether it comes from my fellow elders, wherever I get knowledge from, I'm open to wherever I get it from, right? One of the things that my feelings are that there is going to be a surge in health or the lack thereof, right? Meaning you might be able to get certain things, right, when it comes to getting issued for insurance policies. And I feel like that's a thing that's coming. I don't know why I feel that way, but I feel like that's a thing. So who is that? Is that Sean? What? Let me get this man up in here. Hold on one second, y'all. We have a special guest. I'm gonna go live with my brother right here. Soon to be dad. Let me see if he accepts. Come on in here, brother. Oh, you in the car? You better put on your lights. You better turn on a light or two, Sean. What's going on, man? Come on. Listen, dad to be, what's poppin'? Sir, you don't know how excited I was to see that news. I was like, yo, I had to DM you. I'm like, yo, I'm DMing my brother right now. Yo, Sean, what is poppin'? Sir, congratulations, first and foremost.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Has it sunk in yet that that this thing's cooking? This baby's baking?
Hasn't hit me yet. I don't think it's gonna hit me until we're in the delivery room. Man. It's crazy.
Oh, if it'll knock you out if you wait till then, brother. You better let it hit you before that happens. That's crazy. So listen. So you're having a. Do you know what you're having yet or no? Phone's chipping, brother. You must be deep in Long Island right now. Sean, you're spinning. Oh, jeez. I know I want to hear this, and I don't know you got bad reception, man. I can't hear you. Your screen is frozen. Yo, for folks, just so you guys know, Sean is one of my kung fu brothers. We actually met doing kung fu. We were training for a long time together, and I joined before him, so he came in a little bit after me. So we were always like learning and growing, and he's punched me a few times. I've punched him a few times. He's kicked me several times, and vice versa. So yeah, he's actually in line to having a baby. I don't know if it's a girl. I think it's a girl. But anyway, Sean, if your reception comes back, just jump back on. He is a cool dude, and that's a professional. See, it's folks like that that really make me like really excited about what the future has to hold for us. Like we are all lining up to do a lot of great things, and you meet a lot of cool people in different places. Mavi, what's going on, dear? How are you? How's your sister? We got to hang out. Tell her, she messaged me the other day. Tell her she's got to come from Rochester. Come down to New York. Come to Long Island, actually. Long Island's a little bit more open than New York City. But so Sean's a good dude. He's soon to be dad. And for all you parents out there, or soon to be parents specifically, there is a movie called The Business of Being Born that my sister-in-law actually told me about. And she told us about it. We watched it before we had our daughter, and it was one of the most important videos I've ever seen. So I recommended that to Sean. And for anyone who's thinking about being a parent for the first time, definitely make sure you guys are watching that, because it talks about the system of how hospitals work, the way that the birthing process works currently in our society, where cesareans are like the way it's supposed to be according to them, even though naturally we should be doing that on our own. So there's a lot of things that are good there for husbands and wives and for men and women. So just jump in on that. All right. So if Sean comes back, cool. If not, we're going to hear what's going on, Drew. Mavi, she told me she was coming into town soon. I was like, so we tell her to connect up, man. Simply moi. Hey, what's going on? How are you? My fellow 1 billion, 8 million up in here. All right, Chevy, what's popping? So I'm going to do a quick breakdown on this, because I feel like folks talk around insurance a lot and they don't really explain what it is. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I think that there's going to be a difficult process for getting accepted for insurance. And I don't know if it's going to be because of the virus or the vaccine or whatever. I just feel like there's going to be reasons why you need to lock in your insurability just in case stuff happens, right? So when it comes to insurance, and the way I start this conversation off is I say there's two types. You have your permanent type and you have your temporary type, right? Consider it buying or renting insurance. You can do one of the two things for life insurance, right? Renting is what I'm going to start telling people to start looking into right now. Rent the shit, excuse my French, right now, because you can get $500,000 for about $30 a month. Very simple, right? But what that $500,000 does is that it locks in your health. And that is going to be what's going to be key going forward. I feel like there's going to be a run on health for a lot of folks, and they may not qualify for these things. And that's why it's important that you get insurance on your children when they're younger. That's why you get insurance on yourselves when you have the opportunity and the health to, because if you don't do that, you're missing out. And here's the thing. People are dying left and right from COVID, right? If you knew that there was a pandemic happening where you could die literally within a month of getting inoculated with this virus, right? Why wouldn't you want to protect your family if you died? Right? It just seems like a very selfless thing to do, but just an intelligent thing to do, because even if you live and you're good, then that's great. Like, you made it, right? But this pandemic isn't going anywhere anytime soon. And even though we're having higher rates of vaccinations and folks are coming to the table and doing that, guess what's happening now? The virus is getting stronger, right? It's going to continue to adapt, and it's going to continue to have more variants. And at some point, there's going to be something called viral escape, which is when a variant is stronger than the current vaccinations. And when that happens, we're going to be at a place where everyone is literally susceptible to this more deadlier version of what we have right now so far. And if your health is at risk, guess what? Or if you have any sort of chronic illnesses, you could go like tomorrow. So the reason why I'm thinking about this, and I'm doing this pragmatically, right? Renting your insurance, there's 3 different years that you can do it for. It's usually 10, 15, 20 years. Not often will you find a 30-year life insurance term policy, because that's what it's called. Renting insurance means that it's called a term policy, and it runs out at a certain term in the future. Now, when we say runs out, it actually doesn't run out. Term insurances don't actually end. They just get exorbitantly expensive after that term is over, and most people will never want to pay that. So, for example, let's say you have a 15-year term. The way that it'll work is that you'll pay, let's say, $20 for 15 years. On the 16th year, instead of it being $20, the price will be like $500 a month. So the price goes from something very simple and basic to something insane. And most people say, I am not paying $500 a month for the same policy I was paying for $15 last month. I'm good. I'm just going to cancel it. That's what typically happens with term insurance. It gets to a place where you get to that term and it's over, and then you're toast. So for me, what I used to do is I would sell folks, and when I was selling insurance, it was really important that they understood the difference between term and life. So term and whole life. So we're talking about term right now. Term was beautiful because you got $500,000 for $25, right? $30, $20, whatever it is, really cheap. But it locked in your insurability at $500,000, which means that let's say that 5 years down the road, you catch COVID and your health is now failing and you may not die, but now you're a long hauler. Now you have chronic illnesses that will never get better, right? Well, because you locked in $500,000 of term policies, you can literally convert that into something permanent so that your family will guaranteed get $500,000 whenever you die. And let's say that you actually are disabled because of your long haul issue from COVID, right? This policy then pays for itself permanently. So you don't have to convert it. Literally, they want to convert it for you because they'd rather have your policy be converted at whole life and stay there than it be as a term policy for the rest of your life. If you live till 90, they're going to be paying the premiums for you. They don't want to do that. Because remember, I told you the premium goes from $25 to $500, right? And after the first year, after your term is up, it goes up to like 1,000 and 10,000. It gets insane. They don't want to be on the hook for that. So they would actually convert the policy to something permanent right then and there and just let that sucker ride because it's cheaper for them. So what I'm suggesting is, and you need to talk to your parents about this and your uncles and aunties and whoever else you know, they need to make sure that they're guaranteeing their insurability going forward because that's going to be the thing that they may not be able to get another chance at. You know, when you have a chronic illness, you are rated for term insurance and regular whole life insurance. And that means that instead of your premium being $15 or $20, they're going to quadruple that. So you're going to be paying $150, $200, $300 for the same insurance that a healthy person would be paying $20 for because you're rated, right? And if you smoke, even worse. So right now, I think this is a really good time to explore those options. And especially if you have kids or you have a business or you have a mortgage or anything that requires your finances to be here, it's important that you lock in your ability to protect all those things over the next 10 years. Because I have a feeling that this problem is going to last, I'd say maybe 3 years, 4 years max. And after that, I don't know how insurable you'll be. Because every year you get older, you get closer to having more ailments, and that's closer to being rated. That's closer to being not approved for insurance. How many of you know grandparents or folks who are elderly who would love to get life insurance right now, but they can't? They can't afford it or they can't be approved for it because their health is bad, or they have diabetes, or they have high blood pressure, or thyroidism, or low thyroid, or high thyroid, hypo or hypo. That's what happens to us. We get worse as we get older. So that's the first thing. So the first type of insurance is term insurance, right? Goes for a certain term of time, 5, 10, 15, 20. There are some 30-year terms, but I wouldn't recommend those. I would say definitely look at those first, right? Now, the second type of insurance is called permanent insurance. It's a kind that you don't rent. It's a kind that you own. And just like a mortgage, whatever you're paying for it never changes for the rest of your life. Because again, the goal of a term policy is to be converted to permanent policy at some point. Like that's the purpose of it. You buy term so that you can just have the coverage. And then when it's time to convert it, you convert it into a smaller portion of whole life that will last for the rest of your life so that your kids will have something when you die. So a lot of folks that I know at our age don't really take the time to buy permanent insurance at young ages, which is under 30 or under 40. And the reason for that is because they don't see the reason for it, the value for it. Well, insurance does this thing. Life insurance, so all life insurance does this thing. They have 2 types of money accumulation in them, right? And they're all going to be based against the cost of insuring you at that age. So when we talk about term insurance, the cost of insuring you changes every single year, right? So let's say that you want to get term insurance next year. It's going to be slightly more expensive than this year. If you want to get it 5 years from now, it'll be slightly more expensive again because it's based on your age. Whereas permanent whole life insurance, whenever you buy it, whatever your age is at that time, locked in. That's it. It doesn't go it doesn't increase anymore. So let's say you buy insurance at 30 years old and the cost of insuring at that time is what, maybe $15? Well, that's going to be the cost for insuring you on that policy for the rest of the policy's life. That's why people buy permanent insurance, because they don't want to be at the risk or the consumer price index inflation of their cost, right? Because your cost every year you go up, it costs more to insure you. And I think that's a delivery for the food. And there it goes again. We've got some people trying to deliver stuff. Hey, babe, you want to grab that?
Yes.
All right. We've got some folks ringing bells because they want to deliver our food. So this is what I'm talking about. See, instead of going outside, food comes to us. Beautiful thing. Now, when it comes to whole life, and the reason why I like whole life insurance is because it has an accumulation fund that grows by a certain percentage every single year. That percentage is usually around 2 to 4%. 2 to 4%. So let's say that you have a accumulation fund that has $1,000 in it because you've been paying this for the last 5 years, right? Well, that $1,000 will grow by that 2 to 4% guaranteed rate, period, for the rest of the contract. And that's a beautiful part of it, because as you pay more into those insurance plans, you're getting cash value out of it if you decide to use it. So let's say that you live till 100 years old, right? And you've been paying this whole life insurance policy your whole life. Well, at that time, usually those contracts, they endow at a certain year. Endowing just means that they've reached maturity. You no longer have to pay anything for them. That can happen sooner than 100 because there are policy provisions and riders in there that can actually help you pay the premiums down over time. So one of the cool things about whole life insurance policy, right? There's something called a rate, it's not a waiver premium, it's a deduction from premium. And it's basically you have a dividend every year for your insurance. So when you have your whole life, for the first 5 years, you don't really have much of a dividend. But from like the 6th year to like about the 10th year, 20th year, you have a really large dividend. And sometimes that dividend is big enough to pay the entire premium for your insurance for the year. So that's usually one of the ways that folks actually take whole life insurance policies, and they actually allow them to pay off for them. So you don't have to actually pay them every single year. That's what people are doing all the time. So whole life that's a unique trend that can do that. But term doesn't do that. There's no dividend with term. There's no ability to have it pay off for itself sooner than later. It's all just an expense. It's like, again, like a cell phone. You're going to be paying the same amount every single month, no matter what. So that's a benefit to a permanent policy where you can actually buy it. It actually creates its own dividend. Hey, mama. Hey. Relax. Shh. Daddy's on a live, mama. I know, right? I'm talking to the people. They can hear you. What do you want to say to them? You want to say hi? Say hello. Say hi. No, she doesn't want to say something because she's on the line. When she's on the line, she doesn't want to say nothing, right? My daughter's so funny. She knows when we're on live, and she always wants to like make an appearance, which I love. But then when we ask her to say stuff, she don't want to say nothing. Silent Bob. All right. So that's one of the benefits, again, of whole life. Like, you definitely want to make sure that you understand that it literally does have a cash value that accumulates every single year. And as it accumulates, it can actually help pay for itself. Term doesn't do that. So being able to understand those simple things are important. So in a term policy, all you have is the price for that term, 10, 15, 20 years, and that's it. You pay that price, you get the coverage for that time. Now, before that coverage runs out, or before the price gets exorbitantly high, that's when you convert it. You convert that into a permanent policy of any kind. So all of these things are things that you just have to look at. Let's see. What else we talk about insurance? Why is it important? So when we talk about legacy planning and we talk about looking at the long term, it's important to have a transition plan for your family. You know, everyone has the desire to want to give back to their kids, give back to their, to their next generations, legacy planning, all that type of stuff. Insurance does that very well. It actually does. And it transitions outside of the will. I actually had a young lady this week. We did her will, and she was asking about insurance. And hey, by the way, I have an insurance policy through work. Is that something that can actually be put in my will? And I said, no. Insurance actually passes before the will. You don't even need to be in a will in the first place for that to pass. So that's one of the beautiful things about life insurance, is that it allows you to actually get that benefit to your family quickly without having to worry about anything else. All right. So we got 15 minutes left. What do you guys want to talk about? What's going on, Servino? What up, Johnny Boy? What's going on, Jack Flawless? What's going on? All right. That's pretty much all I have. I mean, we talked about CPI. We talked about insurance. Two different conversations, but both very important. What's another myth about insurance that people don't really realize? Let's see. Oh, ages. So did you guys know that if you buy insurance on your children, right? For small policies, 10,000, 25,000, whatever have you, those may cost $10 a month, $15 a month. But when your kid gets to 18, 19, or 20, when they're going to school, guess what? Those policies can be cashed out for buying a car. They can be cashed out for goods and services for them, whether it be books, tuition, what have you. Hey, babe, can we get that to turn off real quick? Because that's annoying. It's distracting me a little bit. So the insurance can actually be used for other things. And that's one thing that I wish that when I was growing up that my parents had talked to me about, because that'd be really cool. If you had a life insurance policy that, when we got to college, we were able to just cash out and use for college expenses or use for, books or for a car. We actually got into a car accident when we were growing up around that same time. And there wasn't an insurance payout. It wasn't life insurance, but it was an insurance payout for the accident. And that actually helped us to buy our cars and purchase things for college. So for me, I'm like, I take that lesson. I'm like, wow, that really did help me get my first car, but it was something that almost lost our lives for that. So why not give my child the ability to have access to, life insurance policy and to have her insurability there? One, it be a policy that can grow with her. Two, and if we don't need it because she decides to buy her own policies with her husband or her family or whatever, she can cash it out and have money set aside for something else, right? So it's a beautiful three-way of looking at life where you're looking at all of the worst case scenarios, but you're using them to actually benefit your family and benefit yourself. So that would be the other thing, that you can get insurance at any age, and the younger you get it, the better it is for you. So that's pretty much it. On Bev, what's up? So any questions, comments, or concerns? Again, today was a quick one. We wanted to talk about the consumer price index going to 6.2% inflation. And again, that number is not going to go down, y'all. It's not going to go down. It's actually going to get worse. And it's only going to get worse until the government decides to make a move. Either raise rates, which is their only option. That's it. Print more money. I mean, they're going to keep doing that. So that's not a problem. They'll keep printing, but that can't go on forever. So that's where they're at right now. So folks, again, if you didn't hear us on this live from before, you're going to hear it now. Understand that this is going to be what's happening for Christmas. You're going to have this problem, and we're all going to have this problem together. So really take this time to invest in yourself, invest in being very efficient, invest in your health, buy your food, do what you can do as best as you can, but try not to spend as much as they're going to force you to spend, because again, inflation is coming for all of us. So we got to be ready for it. All right, folks. So that is it on Bev. Yeah, you missed it. My sister and I were just talking about life insurance. Yeah, no, it's important. It's important, And I mean, I had one of my Kung Fu brothers jump on real quick on the live, but his reception died. And he's having a young girl. So hopefully he gets a chance to listen to this. Sean, hopefully listen to this and you get on that, man. Make sure you get coverage for yourself, because now you have a daughter or son coming. And at that point, if something happens to you, that money's going to be very useful for your wife, to help raise your children. So, all right, folks. So that's it. Thank you so much for joining us. And I will catch you guys next week. It was a pleasure as usual. In the meantime, I would say continue to look at your portfolios, continue to understand what industry they're in, because it's important that you know exactly what can happen. If interest rates go up, ask yourself, what will happen to the industry that I'm invested in heavily if interest rates rise? I gave you one example of an industry of financial services. If the interest rates rise, according to the Fed, if that Fed rate rises, people are going to start pulling the money out of investments, which is going to hinder those companies from actually having assets under management, which is how they make money. And that's going to lower their prices. And if you're invested in stocks that are based on pegged against that, you're going to lose money, right? So you got to know where you're at. Logistics, I think, is the number one. Like if you're in anything logistics, you're going to be fine. If you're in anything that's not logistics, you're not going to be fine. There are other industries that are going to be booming. Tech, again, is going to be booming. Anything crypto, again, is going to be booming. So all of these things you have to take into account, right? Know what you're investing in, know why you're investing in it, but also check your portfolios, because right now we will not get another chance to do this. Like if you're not ready for this shift and it happens, you can lose 30% in a day. Like that's how bad this could be. So be prepared, check your portfolios. If you want to have someone take a look at what you're invested in, DM me. I can look at the options that you have and let you know if it's going to be something that if rates go up will be impacted by that or not. Oh, yo, Sean, you know what's so funny? My phone overheated too sometimes when I'm driving, and it's hilarious because it just goes like the temperature gauge. It's like your temperature is too high. Your temperature's high. You can't use your GPS. You can't talk. You can't do anything. It just does that. Like that's so weird, isn't it? Well, if you're back, come on up, man. Let me see if I can get you back here. Hold on. Let me see if I can pull you in. All right, I just invited you. See if this works. We got to have you come back and finish up, brother. Now you got to make sure you put your AC on so that it's not overheating your phone.
Yeah, for real.
The
See,
AC's
I'm driving right now. I can't turn the lights on. But,
no, don't worry. We can hear you. So you having a boy or a girl? You know, I think you
yeah, the girl.
having a girl, right? Okay, beautiful. Yeah, I have a girl too. So yeah, definitely check that movie, Business Being Born, and trust me, it's gonna be. We're gonna have a. I'm gonna actually call you. We're gonna have a conversation because we were just talking about life insurance right now, and how important it is for you to have coverage, especially if you have kids or you have a spouse or you're newly fathering, newly mothering. Like that's a very important time to get that, because it's gonna protect your family if something happens to you. And with COVID coming around, like I have a feeling that folks, your ability to get insurance is going to get harder. Like that's my prediction right now. Like it's going to get harder. Like right now, you can go online, sign up, and get insurance. That's not going to be the case, especially if things health-wise continue to go the way that they're going. So yeah, man. So how have you been, Sean? You been all right?
Yeah, I've been good, man. Can't complain. Just bought a house.
Yes, I saw that. Well, I don't think I saw that. I just saw the baby news. I didn't see the house buying. That's
Yeah, the gender reveal.
Oh, congratulations on the house. Are you still in Long Island?
No, I'm in Baltimore now.
What the heck?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I went out there for a job, so
Nice. Well,
good opportunity.
listen, you can't turn those up, man. You can't turn those up. Yo, make sure you check out the Baltimore chapter. I think we got a guy down in Maryland, which is close to you. Yeah, I think it's I think we met him too in training. What's his
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, I can't remember his name.
Yeah, it's in the tip of my tongue, and it's so messed up. I have his book and everything too.
I follow him on Instagram.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, definitely checking in with him. I've been meaning to check in with him. I called him a few times, but man, with the baby, I haven't been able to even I train on my own, but it's been rough. It's been rough.
It's hard to stay consistent.
Oh yeah. Work and the baby, trust me, they'll take your time from everything. But yeah, man. But that's cool. So you've been down in Baltimore for how long?
About a year and a half.
Oh wow. So that's been a what? That's been a minute. You've been down there for a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what's up, man. Well, yo,
Good choice, though.
No, listen, I understand. Well, I appreciate you, man, and we gotta be in touch. Do you come back to New York at all, or you don't visit as often?
Yeah, about once a month. I used to come back a lot more, but I'm really busy right now, so about once a month I come back.
Okay. Yeah, man. Next time you're in New York, let me know. I'll make the time. I'll definitely make the time. So, anything you want to tell the good folks? So this is my Wealth Wednesday episode. We normally talk finance, financial literacy, relationships, philanthropy. Today we're talking about the consumer price index and how gas prices, oil prices, food prices, everything's going up right now. And it's at 6.2%, which is 3 times the normal average. So it's getting worse. So we're just trying to talk to folks about that. Have you seen that kind of in your industry as well? Like where you're seeing the prices of things getting more expensive?
Yeah, definitely. They say that the price of wood went up. I know it went up at one point. I don't know if it dropped.
It came back down a little bit, but it's still insane. It's still insane though. Yeah. So no, definitely raw materials. Like a lot of construction workers were having a hard time finishing jobs because the cost of the job was going up by 30-40% within 2 months. So all the projections were being blown up. So a lot of projects had to slow down just because of that alone.
Yeah. As you can see, gas, going crazy again.
Sir, I'm happy I drive a hybrid, but goodness gracious, filling that thing up, I'm telling you, even 10 gallons, it hits me. It's like, why am I paying $4 for premium gas? It's very bad. So yeah, man. We're wrapping up right now. This was our last 5 minutes. So what do you want to say to the good people, man? The Wealth Wednesday, the family. What do you want to say to them?
Stay positive. Stay focused on your goals and peep them lows.
I like that. All right, well, folks, you heard it from Sean. That's my brother. That guy is a really dope person. Love him. He's awesome. Definitely professional, married man. Well, I don't know if you're married yet, Sean. You should be married. But even if you're not married, you got you got the one. So you good. And baby on the way. So listen, man, congrats on all of your successes so far. Congrats on the move, on the job opportunity. Like good things are going to come your way regardless. You were primed for that. So I'm just happy that everything worked out so well for you.
I appreciate it, bro. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah,
definitely. Same to you, bro. I've seen you grow so much. You're definitely doing your thing, man. I appreciate it.
Listen, it's all we can do.
From you. Actually, I bought some stock just because you recommended it. Some cannabis stock.
Oh yeah, hold the line. Just got to hold the line, man. Right now, listen, even that industry, like everything is on pause because of COVID. But trust me, this is a time to accumulate shares, and I feel like even with the cannabis industry, like it's still going to boom. It's going to boom, but it's been put on pause. A lot of these bull runs have been put on pause because of COVID and because of logistics and because of the way that money is no longer flowing. Like folks are literally scraping to just make ends meet. So they're like, okay, buy weed or pay my rent. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot more difficult decisions to make. But once we're through this and you've already bottled up and gobbled up as many little shares as you could at those low prices, trust me, man, that's when we're going to see it on the other side. So that industry's not going anywhere. So I'm still invested. So hopefully you continue to add to your position because those prices are coming down and it's good to get the lower prices as they keep going down. Just keep on getting in. Because when that turn happens and it goes from $9 back up to 40, guess what? You were accumulating a whole bunch of shares at $9, $8, $7, $6. As it's going down, you're accumulating more and more and more. And when the industry pops, you sell. You're done. That's how that works. So stick with the process, man. It'll work. All right. All right, Sean. Well, pleasure talking to you, brother. Appreciate you as usual. And I will talk to you soon, man. All right. Peace out. All right. Later.
Take care, everyone.
All right. Bye. All right, y'all. That was Sean. That's my brother. Cool dude. And yeah, Wealth Wednesday family. Appreciate you guys. Kurt, I see you down there. Nene, what's up? Nene Terry, what's going on? Nice to see you, dear. I hope that this time of year is a good time for all of you, professionally, business-wise, personally. You know, I'm sending good vibrations to all of you because, again, this is what it is. This is the time of year where you're really going to make your numbers or plan for next year. So hopefully you're all making your numbers. And if you're not, hopefully you're planning for next year and making sure that it's going to be a better year than this year. So folks, appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for joining me. And again, you know, we are here to, you know, provide value in any way that we can. And today's episode is really about consumer price index, about the fact that inflation is going to be hitting you guys even harder over the next month. And this is a time where a lot of people spend money. So even if you can reverse that and you try not to spend as much as you can and invest that, that's even a better move right now than spending on high inflated things because you're not getting any value from that. All right, folks. So peace out. Love, value, and appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for joining us. And we'll be posting a lot more content throughout the weeks now because, again, as times get closer to the end of the year, I'm going to send you guys some articles and things to look at to get ready for 2022. All right. So until then, peace out. And we'll check you guys next week. All right. Later. YouTube. Catch you guys next week, y'all. Peace out.